Hey, Sam Becker here of Sam B Writes. I'm a copywriter for entrepreneurs in the wellness space, and I am here on YouTube sharing my best tips, tricks for copy and content writing for your small business. Today, we're going to talk about the dreaded writer's block. We have all encountered it, and no one is immune to it. It's just a part of the writing process. However, the most successful writers and entrepreneurs have strategies and tools that they use to help them move past writer's block and feel more success in their writing endeavors. So today, we're gonna talk about the three types, there's actually three different types of writer's block and tools and strategies you can use to help combat them and get a move on so that you do not feel stuck and stagnated in your copy and content. Let's jump in. All right, the first one is this feeling of having no idea what to write. And while this might happen, I tend to find that it's not that you don't have an idea. Especially if you're a business owner, you did not go into this because you don't have ideas. You clearly provide a service, a product, some sort of transformation for your clients that you have a lot of knowledge about. The first reason you might feel like you have no ideas is because you think that it's something that everyone knows. But remember that just because you know it doesn't mean that everyone else does. Actually, they probably don't. And you making that assumption is keeping them from accessing that information. You just need to be a step ahead of your ideal audience and teach them something that they haven't encountered yet. The second reason you might feel like you don't have an idea is that we get that like everyone else is already doing it syndrome. It's kind of impossible to create totally original content nowadays. So we have to just add our own flair to it. So just because somebody's written a blog post similar to it or talked about this topic in an email doesn't mean that you can't. Yes, they might have talked about that topic, but they will never do it the way you will. So if you are feeling stuck, like you have no idea what to write about, you're seeing that blinking cursor mocking you on your page, here's what you can do. The first thing I love to encourage my clients do is talk to their clients and talk to peers. So it's really, really important that you talk to the people that you impact and influence on a daily basis because they might show you something about your services, your product that you never even realized. When we're really close to something and its creation, we sometimes overlook how unique and amazing it can be. So that's a great way to generate some new ideas and look at things from a different angle. You might also talk to and look at what your peers are doing. You're not trying to copy, you're just getting inspiration. It is a community for a reason. Less competition, more community. I'm all about that. The next thing you can do is look at your old content with a new perspective. Maybe you've done a series on something before that you can dig into deeper. Maybe you can pull out a piece of that and just focus on that one portion of the process. If you have a product, maybe it's even about how you source a specific ingredient for your recipe. So lots of ways that you can go really deep. So if you have some breadth in your content, let's go deep and really dive into it and look at it from a different angle. The next thing is write what you know. So it could be something as simple as what you're experiencing in your life, in your business. Not all of your content needs to be about your specific niche. You are a whole person, and especially if you're in the solopreneur space and you are and you represent your brand and you as a person are your brand, this can be really helpful to humanize you, to relate to your audience. And then the next thing is consume stories. Really be curious. It can be even like watching movies, reading books. I like to get outside of my content area and read something totally different because I feel like it just fires different parts of my brain and gets me thinking in a different way. And it helps me tap into my creativity and my imagination. So I hope that you take those tips. If you have no idea what to write, blinking cursor is staring at you. The second type of writer's block is the type when you've hit a wall. So maybe you had the idea, you've gotten started, and then you just lose steam. And I think this is one of the most common ones, and it's the one that many of my clients come to me asking about because we get so frustrated. We've all been there. I've had a million of those Google Docs that just get abandoned and end up getting lost in the Google Drive abyss. I can never find them again because I forget what I even named them. That's a me issue. I don't know if you're the same. The second is that you have good intentions to start it and it just never gets finished. So a lot of times this is because we get stuck on where to go next. So one of the best strategies I have for you is even if you've already started to write it, maybe you're midway through, pause, You don't have to throw it away, I promise. It was not time wasted. But go back and outline your flow. So whatever you're talking about, reverse design it. What are you trying to get your audience to get out of this blog, this email, this social piece? And then work yourself backwards. What steps do they need to take? What information is going to be helpful, and what order does it need to be presented in? And then once you have that structure, it's like the bones of a skeleton, you can put some meat on the bones and you can flesh each of those pieces out. This will help you keep going, and it'll help you see a bigger vision for your project rather than just thinking of it one step at a time, okay? The next portion is, if you're really stuck in something, skip over it. Keep your momentum going. Don't let that slow you down. You can always come back to it later. Editing is a huge part of the process. So if you're able to finish the rest of it and come back to that one portion, A, maybe you don't even need that piece. Maybe you thought you did and you don't. Or B, you can take time once you see that full picture to come back and inform that section. The next thing I say is, if you're getting to that like roadblock and you've hit a wall, write something else. I love journaling prompts. They can be personal, they can be creative, just to keep the juices flowing and get some ideas on the page. You'll be amazed what you can find from that kind of activity. So if you've hit that wall, outline it, skip over something, and then lastly, write something else. Just keep your creative ideas flowing and release that pressure a little bit. The last one, the third writer's block that a lot of people have, is this feeling of no motivation. And while authors or writers might feel that about a topic that they're trying to write about, you created your business for a reason. You have a passion behind whatever it is that you do. And if you don't anymore, it might be time to reevaluate what you're doing. And that's okay. It might be time to pivot. But if you're feeling unmotivated, chances are that's not it. Chances are that you are really dealing with something underlying, and it's up to you to figure out what it is. For so many entrepreneurs, that lack of motivation to write content and copy for their businesses comes from perfectionism. I am all about taking imperfect action, but that is so hard for so many of us. Our businesses are our babies. We want it to be perfect. We want to represent ourselves well, but the reality is no one's perfect. And truly showing up, flaws and all, is how you're going to be most approachable to your audience, to your listeners, to your viewers, to your clients. So don't be afraid. And when you're writing, the good news is it's not like a video. Well, I guess you can edit, but it can always be edited. Even if you publish the blog, you can edit the blog and republish it. It's no big deal. So allow yourself to take that pressure off. If you are feeling this, you might also be feeling burnout. So at this stage, it really is important to consider what writing needs and tools are gonna support you most. So in the first two stages of writer's block, a lot of times it's just getting systems and processes in place, and we're gonna talk about some systems that you can do to bust through that lack of motivation. But this is also the time to consider where outsourcing a copywriter might be helpful to you, either in an auditing capacity where you're getting feedback and accountability, or done for you copy that you can hand off and alleviate. I say this because if you're feeling unmotivated, you may have hit burnout. You're doing so many things in your business. You are the accountant, you are the social media manager, you are the customer service representative, you do it all. So if you are feeling like content creation is just another thing on that to-do list, and it might even be something you used to or even currently love, but just keep putting on the back burner because everything else has to take priority, you might consider outsourcing. In the meantime, one of my favorite ways to get into a rhythm with your content and copy creation is to set a really low bar schedule for yourself. Set your expectations low, manageable, and work it into your day. The key here is being consistent with your writing. So if you're struggling to write 500 words a day, maybe you set a goal of just writing like 200 words. Doesn't matter if it's good. Get rid of that perfectionism mentality. Just write daily. Get some ideas on the page. Come back to them each and every day. You'll probably find that you can exceed that. Once you sit down to do the writing, a lot of times you show up and do more than you think you can. However, you're not putting this huge burden on yourself to just push through, generate tons of content. That is adding to your burnout when you're just dedicating hours and hours to content creation and then you push it to the side and you don't look at it again for another month. It's exhausting, it's not sustainable, and you might not be generating content that you're truly proud of and that you want to put out into the world. So set a really consistent, really low lift goal for your writing and see how that can influence what you're able to produce. And then finally, get to the root of the problem. Is it time? Is it the type of content that you're trying to generate? What is the root of it? It could even be a personal problem. Maybe there's something going on in your personal life that naturally is flowing into your business. So take some time to reflect, to journal, to meditate, to talk it out, and see what's at the root of that lack of motivation. So I hope that these tips were helpful, whether you have no idea where to get started, if you've hit a wall in your writing, or if your motivation is really lacking. All of these phases are completely normal for professional writers, amateurs, and business owners alike. So please know you are in good company. I would love to hear from you. Which of these 3 types of writer's block do you encounter most? Have you found any of these tips helpful? Maybe you have some other ideas that work for you. Thanks so much for being here. Again, I'm Sam Becker of Sam B. Writes. Please subscribe, follow along so you don't miss a thing. You can also find me on Instagram at SamBBEE Writes, WRITES, and I'll see you again soon. Happy writing.